always seems like we're scrambling, right? To fit it all in, squeezing in workouts, rushing to appointments, even just scrolling can feel super urgent.
Right.
But what about sleep? That thing we kind of push to the bottom of the list?
Yeah.
Like, we'll get to it if there's time left over.
It's so easy to let that slide.
Totally. We're diving deep into sleep today.
Yeah.
Really looking at why it's not just some, luxury, but an absolute necessity.
It really is.
And we've got some fascinating research and articles here.
Yeah, some great stuff.
That dive into the nitty-gritty of why sleep matters so much.
Absolutely.
We're talking about the challenges we all face. We have a hair of face. And some strategies for actually getting better sleep.
Yeah, the how-tos, that's key.
So basically, we're sifting through all this info to pull out the most important bits to help you prioritize sleep.
Make it less of a mystery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's funny how we obsess over,
right,
healthy eating and working out.
Yeah, those are always top of mind.
But sleep, we often just kind of, ignore it.
We do. And these sources really emphasize that, sleep is just as vital for overall health.
I think we know that deep down, right?
We do, but we don't act like it.
But then we hit that snooze button again and again.
Every morning. So let's talk about what we miss out on.
Yeah.
When we don't prioritize sleep.
What's the big deal beyond feeling a little tired?
Oh, there's a lot more to it than that.
Because our sources are saying it's pretty significant. For example, you know how sometimes your brain just feels fuzzy?
Ugh, yeah, you can't quite grab onto a thought.
Yeah, totally. And it turns out good sleep is like a reset button.
It is.
Not just for your body, but for your mind, too.
Like a mental detox.
So that sharper focus, improved cognitive function, that's not just a nice perk, it's essential.
It's like upgrading your mental software.
Right. And there's research showing that things like reaction time and memory, those can actually improve by a significant percentage.
Yeah, we're talking noticeable gains.
Just from getting enough sleep.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is.
It's like a performance enhancer, but natural.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just thinking more clearly.
Oh yeah, there's the immune system too.
Right. What's the connection there?
Well, while you're asleep, your body's hard at work.
Okay.
Regulating those immune cells, producing cytokines.
Cytokines?
Yeah, they're proteins that fight inflammation and infection.
So good sleep makes you less likely to get sick.
Exactly. It builds resilience.
Okay, that makes sense.
And, personally, when I don't get enough sleep, I get so grumpy.
Oh, tell me about it. My mood tanks.
Right. It's like everything bugs you.
And that's backed up by the research.
It is.
Good sleep, better mood, more emotional stability.
It's like you can handle things better.
Like a buffer against all that daily stress.
For sure. When you're well rested.
Yeah.
You just manage stress better. You're more emotionally even.
It's like you're not constantly on edge.
Exactly. And that spills over into everything. Relationships, work, the whole shebang.
And, of course, the more obvious benefits.
Yeah, those are important too.
More energy.
Absolutely.
Better physical performance.
It's like your body's running on all cylinders.
Right. Like when I work out after a good night's sleep, I can push so much harder.
You can feel the difference.
It's not just about feeling less tired. It's about what you can do.
Right. But here's the thing that really struck me.
Okay, what's that?
The long-term health benefits.
Oh, yeah. The sources talk about that.
They do. And it's pretty powerful.
Like how prioritizing sleep can actually lower your risk of some pretty serious conditions.
Heart disease, diabetes, that's huge.
Yeah, it's like thinking about sleep as a long-term investment.
It changes the whole perspective.
Not just a nightly annoyance.
It's about building a foundation for a healthier future.
Okay, so we've covered the good stuff.
The benefits.
Yeah, but what about the flip side?
Ah, yes, the not-so-fun part.
What happens when we consistently don't get enough sleep?
Well, let's just say the sources paint a pretty grim picture.
It's not good.
Not at all. First off, stress and irritability go way up.
Yeah, that short fuse gets even shorter.
You're more easily frazzled, less patient, always on edge.
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well.
And remember how we talked about the immune system?
Yeah, how good sleep helps boost it.
Well, sleep deprivation does the opposite.
So you get sick more easily?
Exactly. And it takes longer to bounce back.
Not what you want.
Definitely not.
What else does the research say?
There's a link between insufficient sleep and a higher risk of obesity.
Oh, wow.
And cardiovascular problems.
So we're not just talking about feeling tired here.
Nope. These are serious health implications.
It's scary when you think about it like that.
It is.
And on a day-to-day level, the impact on your brain...
Oh, yeah.
It's huge. Like, trying to focus when you're sleep deprived,
Hmm.
it's like swimming through mud.
You just can't think straight.
You're less efficient, making mistakes. It's harder to learn new things.
And that leads to lower productivity, lack of motivation.
It's like this downward spiral.
Absolutely, it's a vicious cycle.
So if you're still thinking sleep is something you can just skimp on,
Hmm.
our sources are shouting from the rooftops
They are.
that prioritizing sleep is non-negotiable.
It's crucial for your well-being, both now and in the future.
It's as essential as eating, breathing, moving.
It's fundamental.
Yeah.
But let's be real.
Yeah,
It's not always easy to put that into practice.
definitely. I mean, we all face hurdles when it comes to sleep.
We do.
Our sources touch on some of the most common obstacles.
Yeah, and it's important to acknowledge that sleep difficulties, they're incredibly common.
They are.
And they can stem from a lot of different things.
Okay, so what are some of these sleep saboteurs?
Well, one of the big ones is insomnia.
Oh, yeah, insomnia, the worst.
It is. It's that frustration of lying awake, unable to fall asleep, or waking up constantly.
Like your mind just won't shut off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Often, it's tied to stress and anxiety.
Yeah, as soon as your head hits the pillow, your mind starts racing.
It's like a to-do list on repeat.
Ugh, the worst. Then there's sleep apnea. Our sources talk about that as a major sleep disruptor.
It is.
For those who haven't heard of it,
Yeah, it's not as well known.
it's when your breathing stops and starts during sleep. And it can really mess with your sleep quality.
And the thing is, you might not even realize it's happening.
That's scary. And sometimes it's not even directly related to stress,
Right. Sometimes it's physical.
like restless leg syndrome.
That's a tough one.
Mhm.
That urge to move your legs, you just can't get comfortable.
So frustrating. And then we have what the sources call poor sleep habits.
Ah, yes. The things we do to sabotage ourselves.
Without even realizing it.
Exactly. Like those irregular sleep schedules.
You know, staying up late on weekends and then trying to force yourself to wake up early on Monday.
It throws your body's natural rhythm off.
Totally. The sources also talk about screen time before bed
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
and too much caffeine in the afternoon and evening.
Those are the sneaky culprits.
Okay, let's break those down.
Sure.
So the blue light from our phones and tablets, it messes with our melatonin production, right?
It does. Melatonin's that hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep.
Okay, so the blue light basically keeps us awake.
Exactly. It's like telling your brain it's still daytime.
That's why they say to put those screens away before bed.
At least an hour or so before you want to sleep.
Makes sense. And caffeine.
Ah, the double-edged sword.
Right. It can make you feel more alert,
It's a stimulant,
but it can also keep you up at night
especially if you have it too late in the day.
because it stays in your system for hours, right?
It does. So even if you feel tired, you might struggle to fall asleep.
And finally, stress and overthinking.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge barrier to relaxation.
It's like your brain just won't switch off. It's like a constant replay of worries and to-dos.
Exactly. And that makes it so much harder to sleep.
It's reassuring, though, that the sources offer solutions.
They do. You don't have to just suffer through it.
There are things you can do to improve your sleep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes it starts with debunking some myths.
Oh, yeah. There are so many misconceptions about sleep.
There are.
Like that whole idea of catching up on sleep. You know, if you have a busy week, you can just sleep in on the weekend.
Yeah, we've all tried that.
But according to the research, that's not really how it works.
It's not as simple as that.
Because sleep debt isn't easily erased.
Right. It's more about consistency.
So a regular sleep schedule is better.
Much better. It keeps your body's internal clock in sync.
Makes sense. And then there's the myth that adults only need 5 or 6 hours of sleep.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one.
Like we try to convince ourselves we can function on that little.
But the research says otherwise.
It does. Most adults need 7 to 9 hours for optimal performance.
That's the sweet spot for most people.
And consistently getting less than that can have real consequences.
It can. It's not about being lazy. It's about meeting your body's needs.
And then there's this one, which I'm totally guilty of.
What that?
Using screens to wind down before bed.
Yeah, the Netflix and scroll before sleep.
It feels relaxing, but the sources say it's actually counterproductive.
It is. That blue light messes with your melatonin.
So it's like tricking your brain into thinking it's still daytime.
Exactly, which is
Yeah.
why it's so hard to fall asleep afterwards.
Okay, last myth to bust.
Hit me with it.
That alcohol before bed helps you sleep.
Oh, the nightcap myth?
It might make you drowsy at first, but the sources say it disrupts your sleep cycles later on.
Especially that deep, restorative REM sleep.
So you wake up feeling less rested.
Exactly. It's a temporary fix with long-term consequences.
Okay, so we've debunked some common myths.
We have. Now for the good stuff.
Yeah, let's get to the practical tips.
The actionable strategies for better sleep.
What do the sources suggest?
First up, and we've touched on this already.
Sticking to a consistent sleep schedule.
So going to bed and waking up at the same time every day
Even on weekends, yeah.
to regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle.
Exactly. It's all about that circadian rhythm.
That internal clock.
Right. Keeping it consistent makes it easier to fall asleep and wake up.
Like your body knows what to expect.
Exactly. No more jarring wake-up calls.
Okay, what else?
Limiting screen time before bed.
So putting those phones and tablets away
At least 30 to 60 minutes before sleep.
to minimize that blue light exposure.
Right. Give your brain a chance to wind down naturally.
And allow for melatonin production to kick in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a simple change, but can make a big difference.
The sources also talk about being mindful of caffeine intake.
Ah, yes, the caffeine conundrum.
That morning coffee might be a must,
It is for me.
but it can definitely interfere with sleep later on.
Especially if you have it close to bedtime.
So what, no more afternoon lattes?
It depends on your sensitivity to caffeine.
But being strategic about when you have your last cup can help.
So maybe switch to decaf after a certain time.
That's a good strategy.
Mhm.
Or herbal tea.
Ooh, good idea. The sources also recommend relaxation techniques,
Oh yeah, those are great.
like deep breathing, meditation, reading a book, things to calm your mind before bed.
Exactly. It helps shift your nervous system into a more relaxed state.
So you can drift off more easily.
It's about creating a sense of calm.
And then there's optimizing your sleep environment.
Yes, making your bedroom a sleep sanctuary.
So dark, quiet, and cool, right?
That's the ideal setup.
Why is that so important?
Well, those sensory cues signal to your body that it's time to sleep.
Okay.
Darkness helps with melatonin production. Quiet prevents you from being woken up by noise.
And a cooler temperature is generally more comfortable.
Exactly. It's about minimizing distractions and creating a peaceful space.
Finally, the sources emphasize the importance of a bedtime routine.
Oh, that's a game changer.
So a consistent sequence of events that signals it's time to wind down.
Right. It could be anything from taking a warm bath to reading a book.
Or listening to calming music, doing some light stretches. The key is to make it a predictable ritual.
It's like a mental and physical cue to prepare for sleep.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that sleep is so much more than just a period of inactivity.
It's essential for our overall health and well-being.
It's a foundation for everything else.
Absolutely. And if you've been treating sleep like an optional extra,
Yeah.
this is your wake-up call.
It's time to prioritize rest.
The benefits are worth it.
Totally. Think about it. How much better could you feel
Yeah.
if you consistently got enough sleep?
More energy, better mood, sharper focus.
It's not just about tomorrow, it's about your long-term health too.
Right. It's an investment in your future self.
So as you're listening to this, think about which of these tips you could try tonight.
Even small changes can make a difference.
Yeah, what's one thing you could do differently?
Maybe put your phone away an hour before bed.
Or establish a relaxing bedtime routine.
Or create a more sleep-friendly environment.
It's about making sleep a priority, not an afterthought.
Exactly, because when you prioritize rest, you're actually prioritizing your overall potential.
To live a fuller, healthier, more productive life.
It's about unlocking the best version of yourself.
That's a pretty powerful thought, isn't it?
It is. Sleep is the foundation of a good life.
So go ahead, invest in yourself.
Give your body and mind the rest they deserve.
See what amazing things you can achieve.
Sweet dreams, everyone.